You know, when the first season or the first series of episodes of Night Gallery appeared on NBC's 4 and 1, we always wondered if the writers, including Rod Serling, was ripping off some of the basic plots of the old DC and Charlton horror comics that we loved so much in the 60s into the early 70s. And this was proven true because when my dad saw this episode for the first time, not in first run, he said, "Oh, that seems like an old House of Mystery story." Now, this story stars, of all people, the great Jack Cassidy, the Cassidy boys' original father, not the stepfather, of course. And it's called The Last Laurel. Now, some people have criticized this episode, saying it should have been not part of the Tom Riley's Bar episode, but for me it really works because it seems more could be fleshed out in like a play or an extended episode. Serling did the teleplay with the original story, The Horsehair Trunk by Davis Grubb, directed by Daryl Duke. With Cassidy as Maurice Davis, his wife played by Martin Beswick, Susan, and Martin E. Brooks as Dr. Armstrong. Now, after a fantastic long 40-minute segment, according to David Jules' blog spot about Night Gallery, they had to pad out the hour-long time slot, and so we have the 9-minute conclusion of the final episode of Season 1. Now, to me, 15 or 20 minutes would work a lot better. Interestingly, on the initial broadcast, this segment aired first, followed by the Riley episodes. Now, which makes more sense having this one as a warm-up act before the main segment, but on the DVD, the order is reversed. Now, Jack Cassidy, almost always very interesting on screen, even subpar material, he overplays his part as an ex-star runner-athlete Maurice Davis, who is now a middle-aged shell of his former self, confined to a bed from a crippling automobile accident. He summons his doctor to accuse him of robbing me and my wife, and I have every intention of dealing with it. Privately, his wife tells the doctor that Maurice is convinced she's having affairs with many men, not just him, and she also adds that she thinks she saw her husband walking out of a room. Then we get an overlong segment of narrating how he has honed a mental acuity to leave his body through sheer force of will, better known of the more popular term, astral projection. We eventually see a ghost-like image of him in less than convincing special effects walking about. He then picks up a heavy candlestick in the hallway in a driving rainstorm in order to do away with the doctor, who was supposedly cuckolding him. He enters the room, strikes the sleeping figure in bed, enjoys a moment of satisfaction, then sees the trophies in a room and realizes he mistakenly went in his own room after the short power outage and killed himself. When his astral projection will expire, it's now explained, as the episode ends here with this shocking conclusion. So we don't know if he will continue on in Gore's form or by hitting his own body, it removes it. Now, according to Jewel, I'm not sure how much more could have been done with the story in the brief time he had. If this was twice as long, it may have been proven to be a good one. As it is, it's just another misfire. Well, I give it 2.5 out of 4. He gives about a 1.5. Works for me because Cassidy playing against type really works in this episode. Now, according to Jewel, this concludes the first season of just 6 episodes. Again, it was part of a 4-in-1 experiment where 4 different shows were rotated in the same slot. The ratings were good enough that it was given his own non-shared weekly spot in the second season of 22 episodes, which I think was between 40 and 60 segments. This was the one full season of the program because season 3 was between 13 and 15 episodes. So, like I said, it's a very interesting concept because if you would give him a lot more background why he was jealous, was it basically he was trying to compensate for not being a man anymore in his own eyes, or if his wife was really doing something wrong? Now we see Room with a View with the Diane Keaton characterization, like an early version of Annie Hall, where the guy who was in the bed, sick, is manipulating his his nurse to do his bidding. That makes a lot more sense. Maybe he saw the last word was presented, and he improved it in that second season. But I mean, Rod Serling, like I said, the worst of Rod Serling is better than others. But I think the original plot was longer than this, and there was some talk how Jack Laird got scripts from Serling, and it would be too long for any show. He would write it was a 10-minute segment you write for 30. But in this case, I'd like to see this redone in another format, because if you look at season 3, it would have been more applicable to season 3 because you had the 22 to 24-minute format to work with. So again, Last Laurel, 2.5 stars out of 4. For me, it works, but longer would have made it 3 stars. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing here, we're a TV podcast, especially Night Gallery and all our vintage stuff. Let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share. And don't forget, requests are always appreciated and always highly considered. Thanks for listening. Bye.